Okay, we've got a good question today. I am charging you an arm and a leg for it, but the answer is going to be worth it. So, our client wants to know how he can get picked up as an owl coach. He's got a little bit of contenders experience, not enough to really be on owl recruiting radars at this point, but we can change that, or anyone can change that if they take this advice, since this video is going public. So my first advice would usually be don't. It's too big of an investment to get into Owl, and there's not enough money in the scene, all that jazz. But you guys don't listen to me anyways, so it doesn't matter what I think on that part. But what I am going to say is if I were to go about trying to get into Owl again, because, I effectively already ran that route once, I would do it in a pretty different way. The traditional way, and what this guy is doing, is going, okay, get into coaching contenders, do that through open division. You can either coach an open division team that then gets in, or you can coach good open division teams that then send a few players up to contenders for the next season, and then they say good things and you get pulled up. And you're looking to do much the same thing in contenders, except that there is no you get promoted to contenders because your team won. Excuse me. There is no you get promoted down because your team won contenders type thing or gauntlet type thing, etc. So you need to either rack up a couple podium finishes in contenders, get yourself good placement, get into and not get eliminated quickly in gauntlet, or you need to send players up to Owl and have them say good things about you. That's the traditional way. It's too slow. You have to spend too much time in contenders where you don't make any meaningful amount of money, and you have to do too much to prove to the world that, hey, I'm qualified to coach an Owl, to really get your shot, to get Owl teams to let you in on the secret tryouts, etc. We'll say I've tried out. I know what those look like. That's fine. But I tried out after I got 3 podium finishes on contenders teams. So what you're going to do instead of going, hey, I'm going to go do this thing, making pennies in contenders, is you're going to go, I'm going to make a splash that can't be ignored. You have to be confident in your skills. You have to be coaching at a level. You have to have the analysis that puts you at an owl level. But if you think you have that, or if you think you can work up to that, you can do this better through a better path, a different path than what's been done before. So what I would recommend is you're going to do a hit piece on an owl team every week. Sometimes you can do hit pieces on players, put those in there, but you're effectively going to do a hit piece on an owl team every week. Temporal, what do you mean you're going to do a hit piece on an owl team every week? Well, what you do is in season, you take a team, you let them play there. Let's say it's week 1, you let them play their first matches, great, they've played their matches, etc. Then after they've played their match, you're studying that match and any prior week's matches that they've played in that season, stage, whatever the case may be, heavily, and you're going to go, okay, 2 days after the match, 3 days after the match, before they get to play their next match, you are going to release a video about weaknesses that you would exploit, or about how you would take this team down, what their weaknesses are, and what other teams should be doing to prep to take them down. That's what you're going to do. And if you're doing it well and you're doing it right, you're going to turn that into a weekly series. If you're doing it well and you're doing it right, you're going to get to the point where fans are going to complain, hey, what's this? This is an unfair advantage. Whichever team Coach X targets each week has an increased chance of losing. And, that might not actually be true, because the truth is teams start doing their prep early enough for another team that if your team is coming out 2 or 3 days after the match, they might not have time to pivot to take advantage of your content, but you at least want to get it to the point where the fans are complaining about it, because that gives you a little bit of momentum. You also, of course, have to be good, so you have to be right about the flaws that a team is doing and how they can be exploited and what you'd be doing to coach a team, a fictional team, to go beat them in their following match, etc. Ideally, you do actually get to the point where, hey, your analysis is making a difference and the other team is looking at your stuff and you can see it, or at least fans think they're seeing what you said. Maybe you're seeing the same thing the coaches on the team that's about to go against them saw. Doesn't matter. You're not reaching out to them to talk to them. If they reach out to talk to you, that's great. Congrats, you've started to find yourself in there. But that is what you would want to do. And that's going to do a couple things. It's going to get you past the credentialing phase of, oh, you have high finishes in competitive contenders regions. That takes too long. It's also going to let you fly over nepotism. It's going to let you fly over the, oh, I know this guy, let's give this guy a shot. I know this guy. The problem in Overwatch is how shall I say this? There's a little bit of pretender syndrome, we'll say, going on where some people are legit, they get it, they understand it, etc. But at contenders level, at tier 3 level, you'd even see this a little bit at OWL level when I was paying attention. You'd see people clearly didn't really know how to evaluate a player or a coach, so they wanted to have things that they could be like, okay, well, these things are telling me that he's good. So even if I can't actually determine whether he or she is good at this or not, he has these things here. So I'm not going to get in trouble for picking him because he has contenders wins or he's this or everyone thinks he's good, etc. And because they're bad at judging like this, nepotism plays a bit of a part. Credentialing phase becomes more necessary than it should be over actual skill, talent, ability to play, do analysis, etc. I'm not saying that that's completely the case. There are people who do a great job of those things, but there is still some of that. So you've got that. And then third, you've got a push from, hey, you're going to have more name recognition than a normal contenders coach would. Coaches in Overwatch aren't super visible in the first place to fans. And in contenders, they're really even more invisible. But if you instead are making a piece that is getting shared on competitive Overwatch on Twitter, that is getting seen a lot by fans going into the week, that you can get to the part where it's sort of part of their weekly schedule, that's going to make you way more popular, and that's going to make an Overwatch team way more interested in investing in you. It'll sort of help give you the push of, oh, well, they're popular, and that potentially means they'll bring some fans with them, a little more name recognition. So even if you don't work out and aren't actually good, well, at least they brought some more fans with them. They're more willing to invest in you. So instead of just the head coach deciding, oh, yes, let's bring this person on as a coach, the GM may have a little more, we're willing to pay more for that coach than we are for another coach, etc. So those are kind of the major benefits of doing it this way. The downside is going to be that, yeah, you're going to make some enemies. Fans of teams that you've done the hit piece on, or fans of players that you do the hit piece on, maybe between stuff to fill time with to get a little more content out there. And again, it has to be done well, aren't going to like you. You are going to build some enemies. You are going to build some teams talking to each other and going, oh my God, they said this bad thing about our team, or they said this bad thing about this player, and we're all friends with this player, and now we hate you, etc. But you've got to overcome that. You have to have thick enough skin to be like, I don't care. I'm not trying to be friends with you guys. I'm not trying to get in through nepotism. I'm getting in through a push from, no, I am good enough, and it is visible to everyone that I'm good enough, and there's an outcry that, oh, hey, what this guy is doing clearly is obviously high-level analysis, and it even looks like it's making a difference. You really want to get to the point where a team is going, we need to buy this guy to shut him up. And if fans push you too hard, you can either ignore them or you can go, hey, any team can buy my silence by hiring me. That's what you're doing. You're getting to a point where you're going, hey, I am making a difference, or at least people believe I'm making a difference in the outcome of matches. I am an unfair thumb on the scale, and if you want to make sure that unfair thumb on the scale, since no team is currently employing me, is not hurting you, is on your side, well, you employ me. You make it a fair thumb on the scale, or whatever the case is. So that would be what I'd recommend. Again, I don't think there's enough money in the scene. Maybe Overwatch 2 will change that. This is a more monetizable route of going there. If you could really get this to the point where you could make sort of watching it be part of people's weekly schedule, that would be great. I think it'd be a lot more popular than some of the Overwatch analysis content that is out there for sure. But that is how I would do it. And again, when you're coaching contenders, you usually don't have a ton of time to do content stuff. So I would do this instead of coaching contenders because again, this also has to be very good analysis. If you get caught out as wrong on more than a couple things as you're going out and doing this, it's going to really hurt you. And now you've created a lot of enemies and you haven't propelled yourself. So I do this, but I do this well. I'd put a lot of effort into going, okay, I'm right. I'm confident I'm right. I've done all my research. I've researched all the different ways that this could be done. I've looked at how can I deprove my hypotheses, etc., and I've done it. Not, oh, other people are saying this. You don't care what other people say. You were doing the work yourself and you are finding that, etc. It doesn't matter if coaches are giving you pushback. They're giving you pushback because it's players, teams, etc., that they're a fan of. So yeah, that's what I've got. If anyone else has questions that they want me to answer in the Ask Temporal segment, you guys can reach me on Discord or on Twitter at TemporalOW and send me a message and I'll quote you a price. Thanks, Temporal out.